welcome back to another drive from the F1 2023. We are here racing on the Jeddah circuit, one of the highest speed circuits of the season. This is the second race of the season, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We have 3 sections to race through. The first section is going to be a high speed flat out through the corners, ducking and weaving. The second is much of the same, followed by a little bit of a flat out section. The third, most of the high speed going to be developed in this area, watching out for all 27 of the corners, where corner 13 and 27 are going to be dividing the high speed sections, making it a little bit difficult to get around if you are in a slower car. We're going to go ahead and check out the starting grid. We have Sir Lappen on the pole position with Charles Leclerc picking up the front row. Following them, we're going to have Russell and Sainz, then Norris and Perez, Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, Oscar Piastri and Esteban Ocon. We have Gasly and Hamilton, Bottas and Zhou, and then farther back we have Albon and Magnussen, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo, and then on the back row we have Tsunoda and Sargent. Now it's time to head down to the track and get into this race. We are here down on track and ready for the start of the Grand Prix. The lights are coming on. 5 red lights. And the start of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Sir Lappen is in the front, followed by Charles Leclerc and George Russell into the first corner. Everybody looks to be holding their place. George Russell has taken second from Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc has taken it back. They're battling most fierce for the second place. Sir Lappen is making some distance in between him and the pack. Here into the flat out high speed corner section. A little bit of lift. And he's off. Down into turn 13. Nice hairpin, high speed. Got to carry a lot of the speed with you. And then back onto the throttle. Getting ready for another downshift and a right hand, then into a left. Another flat out section here. Knowing that you have that left-hander coming up pretty soon, you're going to want to hug this wall to carry some of that speed. And now back into the full throttle, flat out. Now you can see 307, 8, 10, 11 kilometers per hour. One of the highest speed circuits on the calendar. And that is lap 1 with a 1:33.5. Bleed off some of the speed as you come into this real low speed chicane. Back on the throttle. And into the lap once again. 6 seconds on Charles Leclerc. 7 seconds on George Russell. Lando Norris is up to 8 seconds. And Alonso is up to 9 seconds. Most racers have kept their place since the start of the race. Looks like Charles Leclerc has really held on to that second place spot. Locking it in with a half a second lead at this point. Sir Lappen just breaking away from the pack, kind of creating that pit stop time frame that he's looking for. Looks like it takes just around 27 seconds to make a pit stop here. And that flat out section is just something little wide. Sir Lappen goes a little wide on that section, but he held it. Flat out once again. It's just crazy the speed that we can carry through this straight. Bleed it off without bleeding too much. Hold, press. Oh, right up against the wall. Sticker scrubbing and back on full throttle. A 1:33.2, slightly better. 300ths better than he was last lap. We still have the same lineup following Sir Lappen with Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Lando Norris, and Fernando Alonso. We are now in the 3rd lap. 2 more to go. 12 seconds on Charles Leclerc, and it looks like George Russell and Charles Leclerc are swapping spots again, fighting for that second position and a few more points. Sir Lappen is not bothered with any of it though, as he is just flying through this circuit, carrying speed through the corners and back on full throttle. The Ferraris are pretty quick on this track, but you can tell that the Mercedes are just giving them a little bit of trouble, and I think it'll be a battle to the finish between those two. So we're going to keep a really close eye on what goes on between George Russell and Charles Leclerc in the final laps. And it does look like George is slightly catching Charles every lap, just hugging onto him, waiting for him to make any type of mistake where he can get through and take that second spot, which can be just daunting with a driver like George behind you. Sir Lappen is not going to give them any type of chance, though. He is already at home on lap 3, having himself a nice drink and a bath, wondering who's actually going to take that second position. Oh, and Sir Lappen has just crossed the pit line. That's going to be a 150-second penalty, far from our normal 10-second or 5-second penalty. But it looks like he is not bothered. He is carrying on, telling people don't talk during the braking. He does not care. He's going to go faster than the penalty can even take him out of the front row. We still have Charles Leclerc and George Russell in the back fighting. They are split between 100th of a second. And I have a feeling it's going to come down to the very last lap between those two. A little wide again. Sir Lappen looks like he might be having trouble with the braking areas. He's going to hug this wall, coming up in this sharp downshift onto a left hand. And he held that perfect, very close to the wall there, perfectly done, and back into the flat out section. Bleed off some of that speed, carry a lot, and then back again. This can make it very, very difficult for some to pass if you're in a slower car, especially when you're going down the straights. And that is a 1:32.3 for Sir Lappen on the final lap here. Looks like he is struggling a little bit with grip. Little bit slower than the last lap. Flat out again. Little bit of lift here. A lot of lift here. Coming through. Stayed on track. That's the important part. Down to this hairpin at high speeds. Flat out. Little bit of scrub there. Looks like he lost the back end. Downshift. Riding onto that curb. Down to my favorite section here. Down to this sharp left downshift. Hugging this wall, hugging that wall, very good. And then flat out once again, down to the final corner. And I guess I was wrong about the pace because Sir Lappen has all purple sectors. Let's see how he finishes out this lap right here. He's just in a rocket ship. A lot of speed carried and a big snap there at the end. But we're down to the final section. Crossing the pit line once again, takes the checkered flag. That's Sir Lappen on pole. Once again, first place. Followed by Charles Leclerc and George Russell. And thank you everyone for joining us at the Jeddah Grand Prix. It was a really wild race last weekend. Of course, we got the 1-2 from Red Bull. But there was some really wild penalties handed out. So let me know down below what you think about that. And what you think the stewards were on during that race. As always, have a good day.